This is my second video, just a very short summary of some of my thinking, insights, and observations in the last 2 days since my last video. So, of course, if you can relate to the thinking that is destructive or eating patterns, eating habits that keep you stuck in a cycle that is destructive. You want to ideally address that part of you or that aspect of you that started that habit in the first place. So I was making a few notes around the stories that aspect of me has been stuck in, the wiring around that and the awareness around that and finding ways to break that. So this is Emma Mental. Welcome to my channel, Health and Wellness with Emma Mental, and this is my second video, an update of day 20. I want to ask the question to those of you who have been experiencing dysfunctional eating, unhealthy eating habits, unhealthy eating patterns that have kept you stuck in a cycle where you can't lose weight, or where you feel that food noise is really loud, or where you've struggled to lose weight and maintain the weight loss. You've got to ask, how long has this storyline been running? How long has this voice been around that's perhaps shameful emotions about eating or guilt or whatever that might be? So really think back, go and sit with that, go and sit with a journal. Think about when was the first time that you experienced negative emotions around eating or overeating or secretive eating or comfort eating or being drawn to a certain food like sugar. Sugar for me has been my eating shadow. That's the side of me that easily gets out of hand. The rest of the time, my eating is so good, so perfect. I started really changing my diet at the age of 26 when I had been unwell for quite some time. I started avoiding gluten, and I would say for the last 15 years I have really been mindful of a more low carb and keto approach. And then I started implementing long fasts in the last 3 years as part of resolving insulin resistance, as part of also resolving psoriasis that I developed, and that has completely cleared. I mean, that's really actually been quite miraculous. So from a physical point of view, it really makes sense to me to continue with this way of eating, but it's the emotions, it's sometimes the discomfort or the boredom or the overwhelm that would trigger wanting to numb or wanting to escape by using sugar or some kind of a comfort food. In my case, usually it would not be savory. I don't feel like eating sandwiches at all. I don't feel like eating pasta, but it would be more like a sugary food. So that part of us that started that storyline typically feels that he or she has a job to do. The job would be to protect. The job would be to keep us safe from something. And it's our job now, when we want to change our habits long term, to go back to those stories with compassion and kindness and to try to challenge that in a way that's not going to cause too much pushback. I spoke the other day about ego and alter ego. So the ego part is wanting to keep that storyline the same. That's her pattern, that's her conditioning. The longer that story has been running and been part of your makeup and your coping strategies, the longer it might take to break those habits. So don't become despondent if it's not done and dealt with in one short fast. It takes longer than 6 weeks. It takes longer than 21 days. It takes longer than 40 days sometimes. It might take even years to completely change those stories. And while we're doing it, we want to remain kind and compassionate without giving that part of us permission to have such a loud voice. So the defiance that comes from wanting to undo the healthy habits, we've got to sit with and almost have a conversation. So what do you want to tell me? What is this about? Can we find a more constructive way? Can we find a better tool to address this? And then perhaps to see if we can give that part of us, that voice, if we can give that story an updated job spec, so to speak. I liked this description from somebody that I had a session with during the week. We've got to write an updated job spec for that part of us that's trying to keep things safe, secure, especially when she has had this job for decades. We can't just come in and say, sorry, I fire you from this job. There's going to be pushback. She's going to try and keep things the same. So ask yourself how long that story has been running for, and see if you can come up with strategies and tools that are easy to implement. Some nervous system regulation, a way of pausing. Pausing is hard for me because I want to get things done. So when that sort of temptation is there to eat certain things, you can perhaps say, not now. I understand that you feel this way, but not now. You can perhaps ask, is there a better way of making you feel safe and calm? Of course, one can look at this, and I say this with such respect to people with addictive tendencies, that you might just have to go cold turkey and cut these things out. Avoid certain aisles in a supermarket. You don't want to tempt yourself all the time by walking down that aisle. You've just got to say that's a no-go territory. If you have addictive tendencies, you're not going to continuously expose yourself to the elements, whether it's alcohol or sugar or gambling or whatever it is, to see if you are going to be able to have the willpower. It's not the willpower. You actually want to break the habits by removing those things from your environment completely, to desensitize yourself. So that's part of my strategy for now, and something that I'm hoping to implement and to embrace more long term. I have phases where I'm able to avoid sugar completely for about 3 months. I don't touch it. It's just not at all. This is destructive. Don't go there. And then it just takes a little bit, and it's that all or nothing thinking. So I have compassion for that part of me. I know she's got a strong mind, but I want to be able to get to a place of real balance. And I want to see what that looks like. At this stage, it's not that clear to me. So I welcome your comments. I welcome your questions. Please let me know if you want me to talk about or discuss or reply to any of your questions. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you for supporting me along the way. And I really know that there's so many of you who can relate to this. This keeps me accountable. I don't feel I need to be policed. That would be a bit harsh, but it makes me accountable. So I appreciate your support, your kindness, and all of you who have been watching. Thank you so much.